Good afternoon, everyone. So, my name is Uruj Fatima. I'm going to present a published and we have also already published a review in today. This is regarding understanding and transferring the resistant traits from chickpea. As we all know, Alternaria blight caused by Alternaria brassicae causes considerable yield loss in brassica crops. While several blight-resistant varieties have been developed using resistant sources from host germplasm, for example, for this Alternaria brassicae, brassica is the host, but none of them have proven to be entirely successful for imparting the durable resistance. So this has prompted us to explore the novel gene pools of non-host plant species. So during this study, we have chosen chickpea as a non-host plant species, and we have exploited the gene pools and studied how the morphopathological characteristics of this pathogen changes, the behavior of this pathogen changes in chickpea plant. So we tried to understand the non-host resistance mechanisms operating in chickpea against Alternaria brassicae that can be utilized in brassica. Coming to the understanding of the non-host resistance. So non-host resistance is the resistance which is shown by the entire plant species to all isolates of particular pathogen. The same pathogen which is able to infect the brassica plant, when it tries to encounter the chickpea plant, it is not able to cause infection, and the non-host resistance response triggering in the chickpea plant provide resistance and defense against the Alternaria blight. So we can say that pathogen with the ability to infect another plant species but cannot infect a non-host plant referred as a non-host pathogen. Before going to the chickpea and brassica, we have published in our pre-RJ review the perspective on the utilization of different non-host resistance stages which can be observed against pathogen, fungal pathogen. So we will just try to give a glimpse of how the non-host resistance can be operational against fungal pathogen and we will compare it with the host plant. For example, when the pathogen interacts with a host plant, so there is a spore. First phase is the spore deposition, for fungal spore deposition and germination. So when there is a non-host plant, the spore deposition itself is low, or the germination of the spore is also low. It might be due to distinct canopy structure, or due to the presence of preformed antimicrobial compounds, or due to the absence of host stimuli. Coming to the second phase, where even if the spore is germinated, the development of the germ tube, which is required for the stomatal recognition, is slow or delayed in the case of non-host plant. So due to distinct topography on the leaf surface, it may inhibit the apressoria formation, which is actually a particular structure required for stomatal penetration, or the stomatal closure by the plant itself may prevent the further penetration. Coming to the phase third, which we can see in the non-host plant, is hyphal formation and development into the mycelium. So the hyphal growth in the host plant is well, but in the non-host plant, it might be possible that the hyphal development is inhibited due to the phytolexin secretion, and also due to the lack of nutrients, the phytal development is also inhibited. Even if the plant is, if the pathogen is trying to develop a hypha, then there is a stage fourth where the plant again has a check, even if after the penetration of the pathogen inside the plant, there the cell wall penetration, even cell wall penetration and the entry into the plant cell is also inhibited. For example, the papilla formation by the plant inhibit the cell wall penetration, or the phytoalexins which is present, it can inhibit the pathogen growth. The cellular responses in the case of non-host plant, it can be the early induction of the defense gene, which may lead to HR and defense response, and PAMs can work as an elicitor that can induce the defense response. So these are the few phases which can operate in the non-host resistance. One or two together or multiple layers can be operational in the non-host plant against the fungus, which can lead to the defense. Now coming to the Alternaria brassicae, grow how it grow on the host plant and what is the life cycle. So the primary source of inoculum for this one is Conidia and the conidophores, which attached to the infected seeds and the plant debris in the soil, and this will initiate the primary infection. So the conidia adhere to the leaf surface of the healthy plant, and the spore germination and the germ tube development start. After that, the lateral hyphal branching also initiate, and the secondary and the tertiary hypha formation occurs. And the aprosoria formation will take place. More than 90% of the penetration occurs through stomata, and less than 10% of the penetration is through directly by penetrating to the epidermal cells. After penetrating inside the plant, the extensive intercellular colonization of the fungus led to the formation of mycelial network. And those conidia which are formed on the surface, they further give rise to the secondary conidias, and many small chains of the conidias come out on the leaf surface. The conidia present on the plant surface act as a source of the secondary inoculum and are dispersed by wind or rain. And later on, the blight symptoms are appeared like a black sooty symptoms, dark brown black sooty symptoms, which are peculiar blight symptoms for Alternaria brassica. We can see the control plant, brassica plant, and the infected brassica plant. So first of all, if we wanted to really exploit the non-host resistance mechanism for developing the transgenics which are resistant to Alternaria brassica, we should know which is the potential non-host plant. For that, we exploited the strategy in which we have covered almost 9 different families which are related to the Brassicaceae, and we try to see how many members are infected around the family. So first thing which we observed is that in Brassicaceae, Fabaceae is very closely related, and other member of the Fabaceae like Gor, Pisum sativum, chickpea. In this Gor, Lima, and Pisum sativum are infected by Alternaria brassica. It has been sourced by plant-wise database. However, chickpea, which is belonging to same family, is not infected by the Alternaria brassica. Apart from that, we have another evidence of intercropping system. In many parts of the world, this chickpea is intercropped with brassica for several decades. Alternaria brassica infect the brassica plant but cannot infect the chickpea growing in the same field. So, however, it encounters with the plant for a long decade, and it has enough chance to infect the plant. But due to the operational non-host resistance mechanism, the chickpea plant is able to overcome, and pathogen is not able to infect the chickpea plant. So, this all makes us to feel like this chickpea is the potential candidate which can be used for studying the non-host resistance mechanisms against Alternaria brassica. So we next started with doing the comparative microscopic analysis of infection pattern of Alternaria on brassica and chickpea plant. So we just saw the infection pattern on the host plant, and we observed that uh, the germ tube formation is actually in the case of non-host plant is from one position only. However, in the case of non-host plant, the germ tube formation is being developed in from 2 to more places. After that, the conidia germination is also very high in the case of the host plant, and conidial germination is delayed in the case of non-host plant. The hyphal growth is impeded, and the aprosoria formation is also suppressed in the case of the non-host plant. If we see the hyphal penetration and the aprosoria penetration into the stomata, the number of aprosoria penetration is more in the case of host plant. However, it is less in the non-host plant. Even if the hypha is reaching through the stomata, the penetration is less in the case of the non-host plant. The dichotomous branching was also less in the case of the non-host plant. However, in the host plant, several repeated dichotomous branching patterns were seen. An extensive mycelial growth was also observed on the 48 hours and the 72 hours in the host plant, whereas in the case of the non-host plant, the extensive mycelial branching was not observed. So the NHR operating in the chickpea appears to actively suppress the A. brassica development, penetration, and colonization. We also measured the parameters like spore germination, germ tube count, hyphal length. And just like the qualitative analysis, the quantitative analysis gave us the same results. Like at 12 HPI, the spore germination was less in chickpea compared to brassica, and similar pattern was observed at 24 HPI. After that, this germ tube count was also for aprosoria formation was less at 24 HPI, even at 48 HPI in the non-host plant chickpea. However, in brassica, almost 90% aprosoria were formed at 48 hour post inoculation. The penetration rate was also very low at 24 and 48 HPI for chickpea. However, the penetration rate was almost more than 80% for brassica. The hyphal length also was very less, till 48 HPI from 12 to 48 HPI. However, the hyphal length was extended in the case of brassica. Delayed conidial germination impeded hyphal growth and suppressed deprosoria formation, and limited hyphal penetration and colonization on the non-host plant led to the resistance against A. brassica. Next, what we did, after analyzing the morphopathological characteristics, we wanted to know the transcriptomic alteration happening in chickpea after A. brassica inoculation. So for this, we have chosen two time point, 24 HPI and 48 HPI, and these two time point are obviously we got it from our morphopathological studies. That at 24 HPI, the specific structures are formed, aprosoria is formed. So we just checked the down-regulated and the up-regulated genes, the differentially expressed genes, and we found that at 24 HPI, the number of down-regulated and up-regulated genes were very low. However, at 48 HPI, the number is high. And the shared number among up-regulated and the down-regulated is also low. So from this, what we concluded is like modulation of the transcriptome after A. brassica is more robust at 48 HPI rather than 24 HPI. And the transcriptome is entirely different also if we compare among 24 and 48 HPI. Once we did our transcriptomic analysis by through microarray, our next step was to analyze whether the microarray data is authentic or not. So we validated the microarray data by using the RT-qPCR analysis. So we have chosen the top 20 genes or and we did the RT-qPCR analysis. For 11 genes, we have shown the data for 24 and 48 HPI, and we have done the scattered plot analysis. So our scattered plot analysis have shown that the RT-qPCR data is almost lying with the microarray data, and the qPCR analysis depicting the expression pattern of these genes authenticated the microarray data. If we just look at the transcript profile of the defense-related genes in chickpea after inoculation with A. brassica, at 24 and 48 HPI, most of the genes which are upregulated, they are related to stomatal closure, cell wall modification, non-host resistance, HR, ROS, and cell death. Some of the highlighted genes are like at 48 HPI, SAG101, NHO1, organoid 4, proline dehydrogenase. These are some prominent genes involved in non-host resistance. At 24 HPI, we have organoid 1, RPM1, benzoic acid 1. So these are the common genes, defense-related genes, which we observed in chickpea after inoculation with A. brassica. We also did the MAPMAN analysis, and we have illustrated the biotic stress responsive gene. So at 24 HPI, as we can see the MAPMAN diagram, that number of the genes are very less at 24 HPI. At 48 HPI, number of the genes related to defense response are more, and more robust defense response was observed at 48 HPI. Later, to further validate our data which we have observed from the transcriptome analysis, we did the further experimental validation. So as we said that the genes related to stomatal regulation were more in the case of defense related gene. So we checked the expression of these few candidate genes which we found from our microarray data, OST1, PP2CA1. These two genes are prominent in stomatal closure. OST1 is actually involved in a stomatal closure, and PP2C also forms a complex with the OST1, and it also helps in the stomatal closure. So what we found that the fold change in expression, and we did the RT-qPCR analysis, and the levels of OST1 and the PP2CA1 is high, and it also almost comparable to microarray data. We next checked the stomatal aperture index through microscopic analysis, and we found that at 24 HPI in chickpea, during the mock treatment, the stomata were fully opened. The aperture was this much. Once we have given the pathogen infection, the stomatal aperture is decreased at 24 HPI also and at 48 HPI also. So these results suggest that the pre-invasive NHR before the pathogen enters inside the plant involves the stomatal defense. The other part which we have experimentally validated is the production of the ROS related to ROS and the cell death. We did the DAP staining and we did the Trypan blue staining. With the DAP staining, we have shown the ROS signals generated in the after A. brassica infection compared to mock, and cell death was also found in the case of A. brassica infected chickpea plant. And the cell death is very peculiar and specific, and it also shows that whenever there is a fungal penetration, the plant try to kill the cells nearby to inhibit the pathogen growth. So the post-invasive NHR involves the cell death. We have also checked, we have also did the Mapman illustration for showing the expression pattern of the transcript associated with secondary metabolic pathways. So we found few of the phenylpropanide pathways, lignins pathways related to this, and which are highly upregulated. The post and the pre-invasive NHR may involve the production of secondary metabolites to inhibit the spore germination and hyphal growth. Coming to the model depicting the non-host resistance of chickpea against A. brassica. So whenever the spore germination occurs on the surface, the phytoalexin may inhibit the aprosoria and the hyphal development. And even if the hypha is developed, the hyphal penetration into the stomata, the plant itself closes the stomata, or the stomatal penetration is inhibited. Another thing is, if even if it is not able to enter through the stomata, it tries to enter through the epidermal cell. So cell wall thickening can be another stage where the plant thickens its cell wall to prevent the pathogen entry inside the cell. So during pre-invasive NHR, the list of candidate genes which we have got out of our microarray studies are mainly involved in cuticle and wax biosynthesis, secondary metabolism genes, stomatal closure and closure modulating genes, and this will lead to a defense response that restricts the penetration. Once the pathogen enters inside the plant, the post-invasive NHR comes into the picture, where the cell wall modification genes which further prevent its entry inside the cell is enhanced, like glycohydrolase, CAD5s, and calosynthase. Other genes which are involved in ROS, HR, cell death related genes, they were also induced. And the genes which are specifically involved in the non-host resistance response, like SAG1, NHO1, ProDH, those genes were also induced. So the defense related response led to the cell death, so in order to restrict the pathogen growth. These are the list of the resources which I have used to make this presentation. This is our paper. Most of the data is comprised from this paper. Morphopathological and global transcriptomic analysis reveals the robust non-host resistance response in chickpea interaction with Alternaria brassica, published in MPMI in 2019. And perspective on the utilization of resistance mechanism from host and non-host plant for durable protection of brassica crops against Alternaria bright, published in Peerage in 2019. I would like to acknowledge the NIPGR and DBT. Thank you.